Bermudians on some of the hurricane damages. Arch Capital Group said that losses from hurricanes Gustav and Ike could cost it close to $200 million U.S. Arch said that it expects pre-tax earnings for the third quarter of '08 from the two hurricanes to impact earnings in the range of $105 million to $180 million, net of reinsurance and reinstatement premiums. Arch said its losses from Hurricane Gustav are estimated to range from $15 million to $30 million. This is based on industry insured losses of $2.5 to $4.5 billion. The preliminary net loss estimate for Ike ranges from $90 million to $150 million, again based on industry losses of $8 billion to $12 billion. For Arch, the losses will affect 30% of its insurance operations and 70% of its reinsurance operations. The company noted that it previously reported that a significant portion of the company's cat-exposed business is written by a Bermuda-based subsidiary, and as a result, Arch said generally, quote, the company's effective tax rate is likely to be adversely impacted in periods with significant cat claims activity. Arch said that their estimates are based on currently available information such as information derived from modeling techniques, industry assessments of exposure, preliminary claims information obtained from the company's clients and brokers, and the review of the company's in-force contracts. So that's still a little bit of a moving figure. Just down the street, XL Capital said that its preliminary net loss estimates for Gustav and Ike range between $195 million to $270 million. XL said its estimates, pre-tax and net of reinsurance and reinstatements, related to Gustav range from about $30 million to $35 million, attributable in roughly equal proportions to its reinsurance and insurance operations. The company's preliminary loss estimates, pre-tax and net of insurance and reinsurance premium, reinsurance and reinstatement premium related to Ike range from approximately $165 million to $235 million, of which $65 to $85 million is attributable to insurance and $100 to $150 million to reinsurance. Sticking with the Bermuda theme, Benfield has come out with their annual survey of the Bermuda market. They say that Bermuda reinsurers saw their profits fall by nearly a third in the first half of '08 as pricing continues to remain weak. Net income for the 18 reinsurers surveyed by Benfield dropped 32% to $4.3 billion during the first 6 months of '08, with only 4 of the companies reporting an increase in profits. The publication, the Benfield Bermuda Quarterly Report, is probably available on the Benfield Group website. Meanwhile, the report said the gross premiums written by the reinsurers in Bermuda during the first half of the year totaled $33.5 billion, which is the same figure as last year. This year's figure was boosted by premiums written by acquired companies. The Benfield report says an abundance of capacity, manageable cat losses, and higher primary retentions contributed to a weak pricing environment in Bermuda's reinsurance community for the first 6 months. The analysis also highlighted, of course, a significant decrease in investment income of about 7% in the first half of this year to $4.1 billion, driven by cuts in U.S. interest rates. In addition, the first half of '07, $400 million realized investment gains swung to a $1.3 billion loss in '08. Stock market's still up about 242 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Global warming. Some say irreversible consequences are 30 years away. 30 years? That won't affect me.
Together, New Yorkers can fight global warming, right now, before it's too late.
From prehistoric time to today, man's progress has been marked by his ability to fashion tools and use them to his advantage. From early humans making tools from stone, man evolved and was soon trading with other men. Money evolved, and tools such as the abacus to handle complex money transactions were developed. By the end of the 19th century, machines, such as the cash register, began to appear. 100 years later, we have even better computer-driven machines which track stock, change prices, and automatically reorder. Meanwhile, the reinsurance industry has failed to embrace man's drive for progress. The reinsurance industry today would be as familiar to practitioners from the 1800s as it is to modern underwriters. An underwriter or broker from 1800 would settle nicely into today's business. That is, until now. For the reinsurance industry, pivot point changes everything. Soon it will be understood that the period before pivot point was as dark as the caveman period was before the abacus. Come and see for yourself if you don't. After a demonstration, you will understand what is possible.
For those viewers in the U.S., while you were sleeping, another bank was teetering on the edge in Europe and was rescued. The Belgian-Dutch bank Dexia won a 6.4 billion euro public bailout on Tuesday. That's about 9.18 billion U.S. And its chief executive and chairman quit. Following all-night negotiations convened just a day after the rescue of Fortis, the Belgian government announced that it and other stakeholders would invest 3 billion euros in Dexia. The French government announced they would invest 1 billion euros, and the French state-controlled Caisse de Dépôt would invest 2 billion. Luxembourg would also invest 376 million euros in Dexia, which was formed in the 1990s out of Belgian and French municipal lenders. Yesterday we reported that at 8:30 this morning in Paris, President Sarkozy was going to hold a meeting about the economic crisis. That meeting has occurred, and after it, this is the news. The French government said that it will announce fresh measures this week to address the financial market crisis and the lack of liquidity in the country's static economy. The meeting held at the Élysée Palace in Paris said that the statement from his office, President Sarkozy's office, which included a meeting with President Sarkozy and other senior government officials with the French banking and insurance executives. The meeting, quote, gave the President the opportunity to remind financial institutions that financing the French economy is their main task. By the end of the week, the government will announce new measures in this regard. The morning meeting was attended by the Prime Minister, François Fillon, and the French Finance Minister, Christine Lagarde. No other further information was available, but there is expected to be an announcement later this week on steps that the President will take. Now some natural catastrophe news. A 7.3 magnitude earthquake, which is pretty big, struck near New Zealand's remote and largely uninhabited Kermadec Islands early this morning. Only the Kermadec's Raoul Island is inhabited, and there only with 6 or 7 New Zealand Department of Conservation workers. The quake was about 630 miles south-southwest of Tonga. The U.S. Geological Survey put the magnitude of the quake at 7.3 and said its depth was about 12.5 miles. In India, in the historic town of Jodhpur this morning, at least 168 people were killed when thousands of pilgrims stampeded at a Hindu temple. Severe overcrowding apparently caused the crush as more than 12,000 people gathered at the temple to celebrate a Hindu festival. The stampede apparently began as false rumors of a bomb spread among the crowd. India has been hit by a spate of recent bomb attacks. The latest was last night, in fact, in the western city of Malagón. And in neighboring Pakistan, in a terrible vehicle accident, at least 36 people have died when a bus collided with a milk tanker caught fire in central Pakistan. The accident happened late yesterday near the city of Muzaffarag, as people headed home for the Muslim holiday of Eid. The bus was speeding when it struck the other vehicle on a narrow road and then immediately began to burn. Muzaffarag lies about 75 kilometers northwest of Multan, which is the main city in the country's eastern Punjab province. The Associated Press says that fatal road accidents are common in Pakistan, where disregard for traffic rules is widespread. And that fire last year that occurred by the Greenwich Observatory near the Prime Meridian, where the ship the Cutty Sark is, that almost destroyed the ship. We have a picture of it here. The British government has announced today that a burning vacuum cleaner was likely the cause of that fire. Apparently the vacuum was left on over the weekend, and electrical equipment overheated and it led to the fire. The fire has added about $18 million to the cost of restoration of the ship and has delayed the Cutty Sark's reopening by nearly 2 years. Airbus must not be reading the papers. They announced today